There we go. Ha ha ha. Hey guys, what's up? Long time no see. So I have my co-host Ichabod with me this week. Like I said, there wasn't a stream last week due to my oral surgery, which thankfully, I don't have really any complications, just normal recovery stuff. If I sound a little bit funny, it's because one of the complications, or rather one of the recovery symptoms, is part of my bottom lip is numb. So it's hopefully gonna go away. It's been getting less and less. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the widespread of the heartbeat bill. Various states now have passed it. You have Alabama, you have Georgia, you have Ohio, and then you also have Missouri. So each state is a little bit different. Alabama passed a pretty much near the point of no abortions, period, except for I think it was ectopic pregnancy, like a lethal something if the woman's life is in danger. But that's pretty much about it. That's for Alabama. There's been so much to read up on and catch up on because it's just been nonstop. Do you want to get into a little bit about the development of the child in the womb? And for those of you who watch Cognitive Thought, I was on a stream 1 or 2 days ago, and you saw how heated that argument got, which it's a very touchy topic to say the least, but you can't go full-blown emotion with it. There's no way. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. But to start off, I mean, which bill do you want to look at, or like which state do we just want to briefly touch upon? Because there's like 3 to 4 of them.
I'd say let's start with the one that's been the center of the controversy, at least from what I've seen, which is Georgia.
Okay, let me pull up Georgia, because I had... let me copy and paste this. That's Missouri. I don't want Missouri. But yeah, it's been one thing after the other, and it's just been crazy because this was not possible a few years back, like at all.
Well, once they instill enough of the the pro-life judges, it does become more likely that they can overturn Roe v. Wade, which they've been trying to do for what, 50 years?
Well, that was like the big scare with Brett Kavanaugh. That's why they went after him and tried to defame him, debase him. Actually, no, not debase. Debase is the wrong word. Like just try to defame him. There you go. Defame him, and it's just. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I'll use this. It was just crazy. Like, oh, he's gonna overturn Roe versus Wade. I'm an independent judge. I'm gonna follow the letter of the law. So, I have an article pulled up from the AJC. Let me get it on the TV here. There we go. And so this people have been kind of throwing around like who could be prosecuted under Georgia's heartbeat law. For anybody who's not aware of like the heartbeat can be detected at 6 weeks, which we'll look at to see how far along the baby is at 6 weeks, or the fetus. I know people are gonna like skewer me over terms here. But yeah, let's see. There's been a widespread speculation and confusion as to what punishment awaits someone who violates the strict 6-week abortion ban recently signed by Governor Brian Kemp. And also, let me put in something to this. 6 weeks, when it comes to the heartbeat itself, that falls in between the 4 to 6 week range. Again, it depends on the woman's body, depends on how fast or how slow the development is. Sorry, like I said, numb lip. So it's not, they're treating this like a strict 6 weeks, which doesn't always work out like that. Could a woman who aborts an embryo with a detectable heartbeat be charged with murder? Could murder charges be filed against the doctor who performed the abortion, the nurse who assisted, or a pharmacist who prescribed the drugs? And to touch upon that, if you guys remember, because I did a video on it, it had to do with a CVS pharmacist. No, it was Walgreens. It was a Walgreens pharmacist in, I believe, Phoenix, Arizona. The mother had miscarried, so meaning she had a dead fetus in her womb. It is no longer viable. It was no longer alive. She was prescribed drugs so her body could naturally flush it out. But this pharmacist who didn't believe in abortion would not give her the drugs and did not follow policy to have someone else help her. So she was sent away. And granted, she had a 5 to 6 year old, her son. So she was bawling in front of her kid. Her kid had no idea what was going on. So that ties into this stuff as well, prescribed drugs for people who miscarry and their body needs to take care of its business. Or excuse me, women. Could the law trigger a death penalty prosecution? What if someone drives a pregnant woman across straight lines to get an abortion elsewhere? Is that conspiracy to commit murder? Their so-called heartbeat law, which is to take effect January 1st, which is next year, is certain to face legal challenges. It could also provoke a dizzying array of possible outcomes and perhaps unintended consequences. That's because House Bill 481 recognizes an embryo or a fetus with a detectable heartbeat as a natural person who must be included in the state's population figures, who can trigger child support obligations, and who can be named as a dependent in tax filings. The new law also says natural person means any human being. The addition of those two words, human being, has sent legal scholars into a frenzy, poring over court precedents and rereading Georgia's criminal code. One code section sticks out like a sore thumb. A person commits the offense of murder when he or she, with malice aforethought, causes the death of another human being. For this reason, it appears the district attorneys could seek murder charges against those who can be found criminally liable under the heartbeat law. A mother, as well as the doctor, nurse, or pharmacist who assists in a legal abortion. But whether a DA, and also to touch upon that, that could also classify, if it does go that far, it could classify certain types of birth control to be illegal. Say, for example, Plan B, because if this is an outright abortion ban, because a lot of people do see life at the start of the conception, which is the fertilized egg, which doesn't always attach to the uterus. Plan B, and this is me hypothesizing, just going off of what I'm reading, could be classified as illegal. So, illegal drug. Oh, these people are nuts. But whether our DA would actually choose to seek a murder charge or whether that charge would stick are entirely different questions. It's not a black and white issue to me, but what complicates matters is that the Declaration of Personhood, said Ron Carlson, a University of Georgia law professor. If this bill is upheld, there could conceivably be a test case that will have to be decided by the Georgia Supreme Court. The Georgia law is one of the number of restrictive abortion measures adopted recently by legislators in conservative states. On Wednesday, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey signed a bill that went even further than Georgia's, outlining nearly all abortions at any stage, which I think is total horseshit. Again, this is when science needs to come into play big time. A lot of people want to choose feelings over facts, which I freaking hate. One of the laws will almost certainly rise to the U.S. Supreme Court, which could reconsider its historic 1973 decision in Roe v. Wade, allowing access to abortion. Let's see how much further does this have. This is a little bit of a long one. But Ichabod, so far, like, what are your thoughts? Just hearing about, I mean, it doesn't have to do with the Georgia one, but it has to do with the other one that they mentioned, a nearly at all stages ban.
Well, it's clearly going to be. Let's be fair. It's probably going to get shot down. Look at it through looking at it from a legal standpoint. There's no way it's going to go through. There's going to be too many contestations. There's going to be too much stuff about it, because where they are attempting to apply the 14th Amendment to a fertilized egg, they're not taking into account that they are restricting the 14th Amendment from the people who are pregnant at the time.
Yeah, and just with the heartbeat bill, with the actual heartbeat going at 6 weeks, we already have somebody in the hallway. That person, I actually do not recognize. That's not my guy that I spoke with the other night, but it is somebody already in there. Cheryl, if you're listening, I'll bring you on here in just a few minutes. Let me get this link. But yeah, the fetal development, and again, in cognitive thought stream, I was mocked for using this website. I just use whatever website you want, I guess, but as long as it breaks down the week by week. But 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So at 6 weeks years old, this is when stuff starts to form. But again, and I'm mostly pro-life, but I do understand that there are gray areas, that there are boundaries, that there are limitations. So don't people who, like, again, I had a bunch of people screaming at me in Cognitive Thoughts live chat, just freaking retards. Just like, guys, go look at the development. And just this, the argument was, with the main guy that I was arguing with, was that, well, it's human. Yes, it's comprised of human DNA, of human genetics, but it is not human yet. Now, when I did have my miscarriage, because I was like 3 to 4 weeks along or whatnot, I guess, implantation or whatnot, and well, not 4 weeks. I was 3 weeks. I was at 3 weeks implantation. I had a ball of cells that I lost because my body did not recover well enough from the depot shot, which is synthetic progesterone. So I didn't have enough progesterone, and so I lost the embryo at 3 weeks. But again, this is at 6 weeks. There's a heart there, and stuff is still kind of forming. As you can see, I think this is like a little spine right here. Your baby's nose, mouth, and ears are starting to take shape, and the intestines, brains are beginning to develop. Your baby is the size of a lentil. Now let's see what that is. So this is how big your the little fetuses. This is how big it is. It's like, it is itty bitty. It is smaller than a freaking penny. And again, I'm not trying to devalue life, but it's just like, it's right there. This is the science behind development in the womb. This is very important to take into account, especially with cases like rape, incest, and ectopic pregnancies. And I believe, if I remember correctly, what that is that's when the egg doesn't make it all the way down the fallopian tube, and it gets fertilized right there, and the baby starts to develop right there in that tube, which is really freaking bad. So you have to terminate the pregnancy. There is no way you can move that fertilized egg, because once it sticks to the wall or sticks to whatever, there's no moving it. So this is the argument that people want to take. Oh, well, 6 weeks. Again, and some places have 8 weeks. 8 weeks is when it's starting to develop a bit more. Ichabod, do we want to bring on Cheryl right now, or did you want to add a little bit more before I brought Cheryl on?
You can bring her in if you want.
Okay. Hey Cheryl, if you're listening, I'm gonna move you in. You are gonna be server muted, so you're gonna have to give me a sec. I will let you know when you are unmuted. Moving you now. And you are unmuted. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
All right. So, what? Just real quick, like, what is your stance? Are you pro-life? Or are you pro-choice? Or are you a mix of in between? So,
I'm basically pro-life.
okay. So, what are your thoughts so far, and how do you see this with what's going on?
I can say I'm terribly conflicted. I can't understand why they didn't make exceptions for rape and incest, of course, because, I feel like if you're saying that there's pro-choice and all that, you want people to have a choice, then if they didn't have a choice in that situation, then they should have a choice after the fact. When it comes to that, the out and out ban is just really hard on me. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit messed up myself, because it's just like you can't do an outright ban, because then comes the arguments like, well, when is life conceived? When is there actual human life there? Because like for me, I used to be life starts at conception. Used to be, until I went on birth control, until I actually got pregnant myself, and I started to read up on all kinds of stuff, going like, you know what? That's not, for me, going off of like the science and just multiple stuff I read, it's like, that's not accurate anymore. I can't argue this with in good conscience anymore. I mean, how do you see it? Where do you see the beginning of life, if you don't mind me asking there, Cheryl?
I'm actually pretty much at conception, but I'm willing to make exceptions for it.
Well, what do you mean by exceptions?
Rape and incest, things like that. The life of the mother. I think laws like they have in some places where it can be as much as like the mental health of the mother are a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of these laws that they've created are a pushback to the over abortion laws that they have, like in New York and things like that.
Oh, New York. That was scary, because people are like, well, we should be able to abort a third trimester. No, you are legit murdering another life. I don't care if it's, but actually, technically, it would be, because we've had a lot of what they call prenatal babies born. It has happened multiple times. So it's like, you can't give me the it's not viable outside of the womb bullshit. Like, yeah, I can. Yeah, with a lot of medical care and whatnot, you've had stories of babies who are like born like, I think like that big, and they couldn't take them home until they were like big enough. But yeah, we've had a lot of prenatals born. So it's like, don't give me that freaking bullshit that it's not viable outside the womb at the third trimester. And then what, Virginia, that freaking batshit of a woman, whatever her face was, wanted to
No, she was a social worker.
Oh, even better. Holy crap. One social, God, that's terrifying.
She was a social worker. I was like, I can't believe it. And she's answering the question that yes, you can. Yeah, well, yeah, you could abort a baby as it's coming out the birth canal. It's like,
that's murder. That is so murder. See, there's no longer a balance, because like for me, I just between the 6 to 8 weeks. Again, it depends on the woman, because we've said, if you caught the earlier stream when we first started up, the 6 weeks heartbeat detection is not, it's not a straight black and white, because sometimes the heartbeat, depending on the development and the woman's body, can be detected sooner, and then sometimes it can't be detected till a little bit later. So either that's because the estimation was off, or just because I don't know.
That's a very gray area.
Huh?
That's a very gray area.
Oh yeah, that's why like the 6 week straight heartbeat bells. Like, well, heartbeat can't do it anymore, and it's just like, I guess you can use that as a guide, but because people have said the argument, just because it has a heartbeat, is it alive? Like I brought up, who was I talking to when I brought this example? Can't remember, but like, for example, you can have somebody who's completely brain dead in the brain or whatnot, but their heart is still beating. Are they still alive? Technically, no, because once their brain is dead, the person's gone. We can manually pump a heart. We can manually make the heart pump. So, and like, again, I'm not devaluing life. I'm very much, for the most part, pro-life. What they do to a lot of these little babies is barbaric. I've seen Twitter videos of like so far down the line where it's an actual baby and they just get I've seen a lot of gross shit, and it makes me want to cry and throw up. So, but you can't use a heartbeat to detect life and say, oh, well, this is alive. You have to have brain activity, a pulse. There's so much more to it. And again, it's not just straight across the board. So, let's see. DNA Crow still driving. Well, hurry up. We only got till 10, Crow.
DNA Crows is my son.
Oh, for real? Wow. Okay, so you're his mother. I did not know that because I'm like, I don't know who is Cheryl. Let's see. Shelby, Sturter, ban it all. 100%. I studied microbiology and consumption in college, and the spark of life is real. Your Google degree is useless when it comes to this debate. Well, then if you studied microbiology and conception, then you are aware that the fertilized egg, 50% of the time, it does not make contact with the uterine wall and gets flushed out. I mean, just because it's fertilized, it bounces around there, giving off the the HCGI hormone? But that doesn't mean it's going to stick itself to the wall. So human life does not start as soon as that egg is fertilized. And it's not a Google degree. This is just basic biology you can read up on. I don't claim to have a degree in anything, but you can't sit there and tell me, oh, well, fertilized egg, human life. No. That's not how that works. The third trimester has been debunked. It's not true. What are you talking about there, Jim Beam? Nani kicked the woman from the stream. She has no relation to me. Lol. I once had a girl try to argue that ripping the child apart limb by limb. Oh my god. No, it is barbaric. Again, that is one of the procedures, and I am not going to show, just to give you guys a heads up, I am not going to show, because number one, I don't want my channel struck. Number two, It's going to make me throw up. If you guys want to watch those videos, or you guys want to like link them to each other, do it in the DMs. Do not post that shit in my Discord server. But yeah, no, I've seen the videos. They are... I will say the last video I saw, and I'm going to try to be as vague as possible because it was that bad. Doctor just got finished doing that, aborting. And there was pieces, and he was holding up the eyes. It was legit gross. And he was so nonchalant about it, and it just... Anyway, it was bad. But yeah, again, let me actually bring up the Carnegie stuff, because this was a really... Where is it? This was a really big... Oh, here we go, found it. A really big argument in a cognitive thought stream where... let me flip over to the thingamadoo here. Where it was Carnegie Stage 1, 0.1 through 0.15, a human being begins fertilization. They have different pictures and whatnot. And then here's the thing. This is what gets me about this chart, because this is what I got spurged at. And no offense to the guy, there's no hard feelings between us, but this is what I got freaking spurged at and caught a thought over and things like that from the live chat. They're saying a human life begins before it fucking buries itself into the wall. This is... I don't know, I've never heard of the Carnegie chart before, but this doesn't even make sense, because if you guys are going to argue the point that it's a human life at conception, then is it the body pretty much murdering it when it doesn't implant? It only implants 50% of the time, and what happened with me is I technically miscarried, because I didn't have enough progesterone for it to latch onto, because I had implantation bleeding, but because there wasn't enough progesterone and my uterine wall wasn't thick enough at the time, everything got flushed out. So, you guys are calling what got the embryo human life? That is a literal body of cells that are still developing, still separating at a fast rate. You cannot call that a human life. So, I don't... I hate it when people ignore stuff. Let's see. When a human begins... See, this is not even scientifically accurate. let's see, embryo, yeah, see, here's your embryo, which is like, has I believe, 3 different layers, and is literally 3 weeks ball of cells. It is not, there's no life there. There's not a person there. So again, I've never seen this trope, but this was a big argument on Cognitive Thought stream the other night, and it was really frustrating because like it's not even accurate where life begins.
Wasn't anybody arguing about the law rather than the abortion as a whole?
Because you had a bunch of too many people running on their fucking emotions. Oh, sorry, ma'am. I don't know if you're prone to swearing. I'll try. Sorry, Crow. Let's see. Don't show. I hate it when people do that. If you do that, you are not. Let's see. Don't. I hate it. I hate people who do that. If you do that, you are not a doctor. Oh no, Falcon. Oh, Falcon. I'm not gonna show that nasty stuff. No, don't worry.
See, well, 2 things. Number 1, she has a kid old enough to use the internet. I guarantee you, she knows what swearing is and has seen it all the time.
Yeah. Well, I just some people don't. But yeah.
When it comes to the second point about the concept is, see, when you start with the premise that life starts at conception, you have a serious issue, and that serious issue is that it's not viable from any form of a scientific argument. It's not viable.
Not even prenatal. Yeah, not even prenatal.
So you're only working from an emotional standpoint, which I understand is the moral argument. What? Don't get me wrong. Is it in the situations where incest, rape, the life of the mother are not involved? I would consider, yeah, probably morally wrong. But you can't exactly apply your morals to everybody else. When you do that, you're making an absolutist claim, and that is easily shot down by I don't have the same morals you do. The real thing about this is with the heartbeat, you could have a child that ends up being completely brain dead or even just dies during the pregnancy. And then you're stuck with basically what is a corpse in your belly.
Like I mentioned with the issue with the mom who tried to get medicine so her body could naturally move things along, and you had the pharmacist, I don't believe in abortions. Her child passed away, you dickhead. Oh.
Well, the situation that grows from this is, what is the point that you're trying to make? Do you want to endanger the life of the mother for a 100% ban all across the board thing, or do you want to have a little bit of nuance with it and try and figure out when this sort of unacceptable behavior is acceptable? It's the same thing when you deal with, let's say, a soldier at war. How far does that soldier go before he is morally reprehensible? We have decided as a society that is, he goes as far as he needs to survive. But if you look at it from, let's say, just as an example, Korea, when we were in Korea, the soldiers would do absolutely reprehensible things. From the Korean standpoint, they were monsters, but from the American standpoint, they were, they were heroes. They were soldiers. When it comes down to it, you end up with this sort of a contradiction in your morality, and it's worrying in a way, because they're not just taking a bunch of cells and flushing them out of the body to prevent a child being born to, let's face it, an unwilling mother. Even if perfectly acceptable child born to an unwilling mother, they don't want the child, so you add another child to the state system, which, as we're all very well aware, the adoption system, the foster care system is broken beyond belief.
Oh yeah.
You're basically, and it's not in all cases, but overall, you're going to be ending up with kids who have gone through such a broken system that people are going to be falling apart by the time they get out. However, you end up with these soldiers out there who are not dealing with a fetus. Let's be fair, a fetus. You're dealing with soldiers that are killing whole grown, thinking, living, breathing, loving people. And in these situations, you have to come up with, where do your morals lie? Is the soldier a monster like the doctor is a monster? And it seems like a bit of a conflation, but it's the same line of reasoning.
Yeah, and it just like there was one case I came across, and I can't believe I'm remembering just now. But it was, I think, a teenage couple, and the girl had everything fleshed out, and she was only like 4 to 6 weeks along. She was, again, literal pea, lentil. And so the judge was allowing the boyfriend to go after her for criminal charges, because she didn't want the child, and he did. And this freaking nutty ass judge, I forgot what state this was in, but this was a few months back, and I'm going like, it's a literal size of a pea that you are allowing a teenage boy to go after a teenage girl for, when neither one of them should be trying to be parents to begin with. It was either teenager or on the cusp of adulthood, 18 to 19 years old. I can't quite remember the age ranges, but it's just like, she caught it in time. She got it, and now he wants to criminally sue her. And it's just like, I don't think so. Let me see if I can actually bring that up, because it's just like, that was so wrong.
Crow makes a point in the chat. Straight up, the Alabama law goes too far, but in my opinion, it's about forcing a SCOTUS challenge and ending Roe v. Wade as the law of the land. It doesn't end abortion, just kicks it up to being to the states to decide their own laws on abortion. Kicks it up to being to the states to...
Yeah. Oh, I found it. Yep, go ahead. Hello?
Their own laws on abortion. Kicks it up to being to the states to...
Yeah. Oh, I found it. Oops. Hey, Cheryl, you have the feed echoing.
Yeah, I fixed it.
Okay. So I actually found the article I was talking about. This is ridiculous. This was from back in March, as I said a few months ago. Teenager suing clinic. These are teens. Suing a clinic for aborting girlfriend's pregnancy without his consent. Ryan Majors, 19, from Alabama in the U.S., is suing on behalf of the fetus after his ex-girlfriend got a medicated abortion against his wishes when she was 6 weeks pregnant. So again, even by the heartbeat bill, 6 weeks, heartbeat. A teenage boy suing abortion clinic for terminating his girlfriend's pregnancy without his consent, according to reports. A judge has allowed Ryan Majors, 19, to sue on behalf of the fetus in what his lawyer claimed to be is one of the first cases of its kind. Baby Roe, is named as a plaintiff in the lawsuit which Majors took out against the Alabama Women's Center for Reproductive Alternatives. His now ex-girlfriend got a medicated abortion against his wishes at the clinic in February 2017. Oh, so this is 2 years. So this took 2 years. Oh my gosh. When she was 6 weeks pregnant, according to legal papers filed in the case. The case involving a girl who reports say who was 16. 16! So I wonder what the age of freaking consent is.
Wait, he was 19?
Yes, 19 years old. This little shit is being allowed to sue a freaking minor for catching a pregnancy in time.
Well, okay, he's suing the Alabama Women's Center for Reproductive Alternatives, but this is something that's bothering me, and I know it's completely divergence from what we're talking about.
No, go ahead.
But at the top of the article, why did they not spell fetus right?
I don't know. So I'm reading them for mispronunciation.
Oh my god, no, this has been a thing for like the longest time. What is it with these online news reporting agencies that can't spell?
I don't know, but this bothers me. This really does. Actually, no, let me... Age of consent. What is the age... I'm looking that crap up right now.
No offense to anybody that's in Alabama, but, I mean, it's Alabama.
Let's see. Age of consent is required to an individual who's 19 years old or older has sexual contact with someone who's younger than 16 but older than 12 has committed sexual abuse. Let's see, younger than 16. Okay, so she barely. Barely. There's that. It's a 3-year-old gap, and I've always said with people, like, I'm not calling the dude like a pedo or anything because it's still like that 2 to 3 age gap. But still, you have a 19-year-old little shit going after a 16-year-old who screwed around when she shouldn't have, did the responsible thing, caught it, and now, oh my god. I want to smack the judge whoever's allowing this bullshit. No, this makes me angry. You have a responsible teenager who went out of her way to get rid of everything before it went too far, and oh.
Yeah, because at that age, a lot of times they just kind of like wish and pray it'll go away. It's not really happening to them. And then they realize, oh, gee, it is.
Oh, yeah, but no, she oh, I know. She was smart, though. Let's say the case at 16 when she became pregnant, 2 majors, and age 19 and unemployed, has alarmed pro-choice. He's unemployed. Oh, God. Or was. The case has had become a... Go ahead, Ichabod.
They clearly can't take the child. They can't take care of it. And let's say 9 months from then, she's 17? He's 20. He doesn't have a job. That kid goes into the system, and then the system destroys that child.
Well, I really hope the freaking Women's Reproductive Center freaking makes him lose all his freaking... If his parents, if he's still living with mommy and daddy and he was dumb enough, and they were dumb enough to let him do this in their house, I hope their reproductive company sues these shits to the ground. This shouldn't have been allowed to take off. Man, I'd be so pissed if I was the girl's parents. Let's see. The case is set to become a flashpoint in the controversial abortion issue that continues to dominate political debate in the United States. This is, this would fall in line with the heartbeat bill. With 2019, this falls in line with the heartbeat bill. So technically, he wouldn't have anything to sue. Pro-choice activists fear a conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court could see the landmark Roe v. Wade decision that enshrined women's access to abortion struck down. Which, again, I don't agree with a full strike down because, like the situation with the woman who miscarried, whose body could not naturally abort the passed away child itself and needed medication, that is technically an abortion, but that would be illegal. Go ahead.
But you're conflating what they call a spontaneous abortion with a therapeutic abortion. So somebody who chooses to have an abortion because they didn't plan right, or maybe they were raped or something like that, that's a therapeutic abortion. Whereas if your body just can't handle the pregnancy, that's a spontaneous abortion.
No, and I get that. They're very much different. But if you look at the writing and what's being passed around, there's talk of even criminalizing women who are having miscarriages. This is a thing being talked about right now. So that's why I'm pointing it out, because they want to do abortions, period. Doesn't matter if it's therapeutic. What was the other word you just used? Spontaneous, therapeutic. They want to ban it, period. No exemptions.
Spontaneous, it's a natural happenstance. It happens.
Right. No, and it does. But
even if your body doesn't expel the baby, the doctors have to go in and take the baby out, because otherwise you will die.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, you'll get... Mm-hmm. No, you'll get sick. No, definitely. But there are talks right now with these anti-abortion bills with no exemptions, period. Because, like, in the case of the woman going to the pharmacist, they didn't take the baby out. They prescribed to her medication for her body to naturally do its job. So, and she was denied this medication even though the fetus was no longer viable. So, but no, there's talks like criminalizing women for having miscarriages and whatnot. Oh no, those talks are in play right now. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because I've been looking into some of the stuff going like, oh, you can't do that. You can't, shit happens, man. So that's why I bring that. But yes, there is a clear difference. Very clear difference.
Only on the crazy fringes, though, where that talk is happening. I don't think that would actually happen.
Well, let me point out something to you. There's been like, and I'll bring up birth control. There's been talks about trying to get birth control banned, made illegal. You're familiar with who Mike Huckabee is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe it was either 2015, 2016. There was talk, it was had to do with Obamacare, if I remember correctly. There's talk about not getting birth control covered and how women should control their libido. There are people like this in power right now. This is why it's kind of scary and why I'm not an outright ban abortion, because if you actually look at the science, you look at like what happens with a woman's body and what can happen. There are people that want to do a complete abortion ban and criminalize a woman for, doesn't matter how the abortion happened. They want to like pin her butt to the wall. So this is why it's just like, yeah, no, these nutters are in some of the power seats right now. It's not just fringe or the radicals. Some of these nutters are in the power chair. And it's just like, even I, for the most part, a pro-lifer, can see like, it's one extreme fighting another extreme. One extreme has been pushed for so long that now you have the other extreme coming out of the woodwork going, well, no, outright abortion ban, no exceptions. Huh?
They're punching back.
Oh, yeah, but they're not doing it right. They want to go to the other extreme now. There is no in between. And it's just like, You still there, Ichabod? You've been quiet.
Yeah, my internet kind of like did a hop, skip, and a jump out of nowhere.
Let's see.
It's back now.
Okay, let me touch base with the chat. Let's see. Straight up, the Alabama law goes too far, but IMO, it's about forcing a... Oh, that's what you read earlier. Ending Roe versus Wade as law of the land. I would have to read up on Roe versus Wade again, but yeah, no, that's like a big thing, and then we talked about the Brett Kavanaugh. Let's see. That doesn't end abortion, just kicks it up to being to the states to decide to their own laws and abortion. That is true, because Roe versus Wade, I think, is on a federal level. DNA, let's see, that's what we need for many more things. Most states, age of consent is 16. As SCOTUS should determine the law, not create it. Yeah, and a lot of judges have been trying to create laws, and wield their gavel a bit too much. Which state? Let's see, Alabama. Alabama has a Romeo and Juliet law. I'm not sure what the Romeo and Juliet law is. Let me look that up, because I've actually...
Basically, if both people are underage when the relationship begins, when somebody else becomes of age, they're still allowed to date the other person.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, that 2 to 3 year gap, I'm okay with. 4, you're pushing it. Let's see. And no, we're stuck to 3. Texas was discussing death penalty for women who have abortions. Oh yeah, I've heard about criminalizing them for like 90 years in jail. Oh, it's like I said, this is the other extreme coming out now. And when you have this extreme, because I've seen it before, and this is just, and I know this is a YouTube live chat, but when you have the other extreme, you're going to have an attack on birth control. And I've talked about it on my channel multiple times. I'm for proper sex ed. I'm for people being able to take responsibility. I've been on birth control. There's nothing morally wrong with it. I got off of it because for me, my hormones were already properly balanced naturally, and it caused an hormone imbalance where I couldn't lose weight. So I dropped that crap like a rock going, nope, done. But for a lot of women, it does help them. And so a lot of the extremes have come out against birth control, have tried to get that stuff banned, not covered. medically speaking. So it's just like, no, you need to have birth control accessible. You need to have contraceptives accessible. Otherwise, we're going to have this freaking problem. No shade on that. Let's see. But it gave the world perfection. That alone means something is wrong in Alabama. Oh, hey, gun dog. We're just talking about the heartbeat bills. So we looked at Georgia's. So like Georgia's, I can't remember if there's a few exceptions to Georgia's, but there's actually no heartbeat bill. Let's actually finish that article real quick, a little bit more of it before we move on. Let's see, we left off, it's not a black and white issue, personhood, yeah, because they were going through like the old laws that talked about murdering a human. The Georgia law is one of the number of restrictive abortion measures adopted recently by legislators in conservative states. On Wednesday, did I already read this yet? I think I already read this. Why is this?
No, we haven't read this part yet.
Okay, I guess it's a repeat. The Georgia law is one of the number of restrictive abortion measures adopted recently by legislators in conservative states. On Wednesday, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey signed a bill that went even further than Georgia's, outlawing nearly all abortions at any stage of pregnancy, which again is bullshit. One of the laws will almost certainly rise to the U.S. Supreme Court, which could reconsider its historic 1973 decision in Roe v. Wade, allowing access to abortion. New legal landscape. The new laws are running headlong into uncharted legal territory. Forgive me if I mispronounce this. Gwinnett County District Attorney Danny Porter said the Georgia measure could lead to all sorts of criminal charges that could have not been brought before, which is very much true. For example, a person who attacks a pregnant woman could be subject to assault charges against the embryo. A lot of states here, that's like the funny thing. There's some states that if you murder a pregnant woman, you get charged for the murder of two. I don't know which states that is, but I do believe that is still a thing.
Yeah, in that case, I would call that a double homicide.
Yeah, like there you go. There's the term. Yeah. Let's see. What if a man left his unborn grandson a trust fund? A person who stole money from that fund can now be charged with defrauding the unborn child because the fetus would have a property interest under the new law.
See, that one's a little more muddy.
I don't even know what to say to that one, because why would you set up a trust fund before the child is born? I don't.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. That happens all the time. The difference is did they make the parent an executor of that estate first? Because if they didn't, and the parent takes money out to help pay for any expense for the child, then if they can still be charged with that, that's kind of messed up. It really depends on how the law is written and subsequently how it's interpreted.
Yeah. If murder charges can indeed be brought, what about someone who knowingly kills a pregnant woman with a fetus with a detectable heartbeat, the DA asked. Conceivably, that person could be eligible for a death penalty prosecution because he met one of the 10 criteria that allow prosecutors to seek it, committing a double murder. Which, like I said, I'm pro-life for the most part, so after a certain point of development, you do have a person in there. It is another human life that you are carrying. Again, the prenatal argument comes to mind, because you have babies that are born very, very early and stay in the hospital for weeks at a time until they are healthy enough and able to go home. It has happened multiple times. So viable outside the womb or not viable outside the womb, third trimester, that argument does not fly here. Take it elsewhere. Let's see. Portal said he is still on the fence as to whether a woman who has an abortion or self-induces a miscarriage could be actually charged with murder under the new law. Well, then, here's my question. How in the ever-living hell could you prove a self-induced miscarriage? I've never read up on how women would self-induce a miscarriage. I know, like, drinking, smoking, things like that, but you would have to do a whole hell of a lot to pull that off.
Well, there's some like herbs that can do it, but
There are some drugs you can get, like in Mexico and stuff, but
you can get some in the U.S. What was it? Yarrow root, something like that.
oh yeah, I think so.
Yellow root, is that like a type of supplement you'd find at a pharmacy? Because I know they have a lot of herbs and plant-based stuff.
Yeah, you can get it. You can buy it online too.
But here's the thing: how would you even prove that? Depending on how long this herb stayed in your blood, or just how would you even prove that?
No idea. Crow's asking how he gets into the stream.
Oh, Discord. If you go into my Twitter, in the pinned tweet, there's a link to the server, and then once you are in the server, you jump in the hallway.
Isn't it in the description too, or did you?
No, it should.
It's still there.
Yeah, no, it should be in the description too. So it's two places: my Twitter or the description. So, and then you jump into the hallway, and I can move you into the stream itself.
There you
go. Okay. So, yeah, I don't even know how the hell you would even prove that. Let's see. I think the law raises legal issues beyond whether or not it is constitutional. Porter said there will be a significant amount of litigation before this is all ironed out. The bill's chief sponsor, Representative Ed Seltzer R. Ashworth, weird last name, said he doesn't support charging a woman who has an abortion with murder and insists the law doesn't allow that. He cites a legal doctrine known as the rule of lenity, that is, when two statutes can be used for the same criminal conduct, any ambiguity is resolved in the defendant's favor. In other words, the provision with the lesser punishment applies. So she'd still be charged, though.
This is the thing that really throws me off with this, right? They keep talking about how you can't be charged with murder, can't be charged with murder, can't be charged with murder. They wouldn't anyway. They'd be charged as an accessory to murder, which is a different charge.
Yeah, no, that is...
The doctor, the pharmacist, that would be accessory to commit murder. That wouldn't even be actual murder. So it's kind of like a bit of a legal mumbo jumbo going on here. No, we absolutely couldn't charge them with murder, but other charges maybe. It's lawyer speak, and I hate lawyer speak, because what they're doing is they're giving you the big thing that it can't be charged with, but they're not giving you any of the lesser things, including fines, imprisonment, loss of your medical license.
This is for the woman. For this reason, women can be prosecuted under Georgia's criminal abortion statute, which carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison, as opposed to murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence, Seltzer said. Wow, okay, guys, that's like really extreme.
I don't think any of the other laws are like that. They only punish the doctor, not the woman. I think Georgia's law isn't intended to punish the woman, but I think the way they wrote it, there might be some wiggle room. They didn't write a clean bill.
No, because I'm gonna sound like a feminist here for like 5 seconds. I'm not kidding. You have a bunch of old men writing up this shit, and I'm not saying that if you're a guy you can't argue the stuff, because like it takes two to tango. Mother and father should have both say over the child and all that wonderful shiz. In the case of those two teens, I thought the girl was responsible and did what she needed to, so she wasn't fucked over for the remaining of her school. I think the little shit being allowed to go after the center, I hope he gets his ass sued clean out of money. Freaking stupid people. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, doesn't have the money. He's going for the deep pocket. That's what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get the ass. He's stupid kid.
He didn't want the kid.
No, he's just being a little shit. Go ahead, Ichabod.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing, and I'm gonna read it out because that's how I do, I guess.
No, go ahead.
So what the crime they could be charged with, in an addition to any other crimes they would be charged with, is called accessory after the fact. An accessory after the fact is someone who assists, one, someone who has committed a crime, two, after the person has committed a crime, or three, with knowledge that the person has committed a crime, and four, with the intent to help the person avoid arrest or punishment. An accessory after the fact may be held liable for, among other things, obstruction of justice. Now, the problem with that is there is a very, very difficult thing with all this stuff. You would be fined not more than half of the maximum fine prescribed for the punishment of the principal or both. If the principal is punishable by life imprisonment or death, the accessory shall be imprisoned not more than 15 years. So you're not just looking at the concept of, let's say, 10 years. You're looking at 10 years plus anything else somebody decides to slap onto you. So that 10 years automatically becomes 25 years. Because under the criminal statute, maximum of 10 years. Yeah, that's 10 years. Then accessory after the fact, that's another 15 years. Then you add obstruction of justice. That's another 10 to 5 to 10 years. Then you add any other things, endangering the life of a child, willful endangerment. Really, like you're looking at years just getting tacked on and tacked on and tacked on, just with the shotgun effect that a lot of lawyers apply constantly. The idea of you're just going to throw everything you can at this person and see what sticks. The problem with this law is how it's written. It's
Mm-hmm.
written terribly.
Yeah.
And the concept of it does not state anything against, like, the doctor, the pharmacist, the nurse assisting the procedure could all be charged as accessories after the fact.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's just like I said, this is ridiculous because to do here's the thing. Because some of the states that are passing these, I think, are still part of the Bible Belt. And if anybody, and I do bring this up because, like I come from a Christian background. I still believe in God. I stay far away from the church these days. But a lot of these Bible Belt states are fucking nuts. So when you get one of them that passes one of these laws and they do an almost nearly all abortion ban, it's going to be hell. I'm an anti-feminist, anti-SJW, but even I know, God, this is horse shit. Because you have full-blown emotion, you have people's moral compass overriding what actually goes on with a woman's body during pregnancy, what can happen, no exemptions. And I know people make arguments, and for me, again, this is another gray area, and it should be up to the mom or the woman it happens to, if she does get raped or horribly violated and she becomes pregnant, it should be up to the woman whether or not she carries that child to vitality. End of story. And same with incest. And then again, with her life being put in danger. Again, it should be up to her because it's either she dies or the baby dies. Again, those are gray areas. I've never... So... But again, as I said, for the most part, and I'm going to sound like a feminist for like 5 seconds, it's a bunch of old men writing out this shit. Go ahead.
I find myself curious with the information that you have now, Cheryl. What is your opinion of the bill itself?
This in Georgia.
The Georgia bill? Oh no, they need to go back to the drawing board. They need to rewrite it. It sucks. Alabama needs to rewrite theirs too, but for different reasons. I think Alabama did a better job at just criminalizing the doctor, but they narrowed it too much that it's ridiculous.
So basically, the bill needs to be rewritten, very much so, because it's too broad, and it's too much of a shotgun.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. This is just so nuts. Like, let's see, with some exemptions, like, I guess Georgia does have some exemptions to it. Because I skipped down a little bit, HB 41 expressly makes it a crime for a woman to have an abortion after a fetus heartbeat is detected, which, again, it's not at a strict 6 weeks. That falls in between a 4 to 8 week mark, depending on the child's the development itself and the woman's body, because you cannot always detect certain things, either because due to equipment or because the baby's not far enough along. It is not a strict 6 weeks for every woman's body. Usually at about 6 weeks into pregnancy and before, like I said, before 4 to 6 week mark, sometimes creeping into 7, some women know they are pregnant, which we talked a little bit about Cognitive Thought Stream, because this does go into taking responsibility and paying attention to the changes. If you've had unprotected sex, even if you're on birth control, watch out for the changes, because at 3 to 4 weeks, 5 or whatnot, your breast will change if you are legitimately pregnant and the fertilized egg attaches. Your breast will become bigger, and I'm not trying to get too intimate or anything like that, but the areolas will darken. You will notice physical changes on the outside of your body, so that's when having the proper education and taking the time to be responsible and to learn about those things does come into play. So those are also important to learn what the outward changes are. Because that change falls in between the 4 to 6 weeks. Some women talk about breast tenderness at that time, which not all women experience it, but you will have your areolas and your breasts, your nipples darken. That is a physical change that all women do experience between the 4 to 6 week mark. Let's see, what else? Let's see, where did I leave off of? This is okay. I know what I found my place. Before women know they are pregnant, which again, learn what the outward changes are. Charges cannot be brought if it was a medical emergency, if the woman's life was threatened, which is like ectopic pregnancy. That's when it gets stuck in the fallopian tube. Or if she was a victim of rape or incest and had reported it to the police. Which again, because I know a lot of feminists will argue that a lot of rape doesn't get reported to the police, and I even heard that there's a process to where when you get a rape kit done, they make you wait 5 days, put your clothes in a paper bag, and so I just that opens up a whole other can of worms, and it has to be reported to the police for you not to get charged. So, oh god, I'm not a straight yes or no on that one either. But yeah, there's
Crow's in.
Oh, he is. Hey, you Crow!
Yeah, I'll move him over.
Oh, wait, where the hell is he? Oh. There we go.
And welcome on, Crow.
Hey, Crow.
Hey, Andrew.
Oh, she doxed you. You've been doxed,
The
bro.
parent dox.
Are you there, Crow? Hello, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, hell, my mom did it to me too. She went on a stream with one of my friends and to say hi and ended up using my name, so it was like, well, crap.
Oh, he uses his name on his
Oh, okay.
So.
Does that mean I can call him Andy?
No.
Aww.
You're embarrassing me in front of my friend's mom. Are you there, Crow? I think your mic settings aren't working, because if you're trying to say something, we cannot hear you. Oh, he sent me a DM. Okay. No, it's not that.
I'll text him.
Okay. Well, he's getting that figured out. We'll go back to this.
Wait. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Okay.
Oh,
there he is. Hi, Crow.
Hello.
He lives. Okay. We did hear you. Whatever, if you did something.
Yes, I think
okay, there we go.
I can hear you guys. Wait, maybe not.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me? Can you say something?
Hello, we can hear you.
Okay, finally.
There we go. Cool.
Were you using the internet one again?
No. I put push to talk on.
Lord.
Yeah, I was having a mic issue the last time I was using Discord.
When he went to go do the interview with me, he was trying to use the internet browser. It's like, it's not working. Well, I don't know what you're doing, because it works for me.
I only use internet Discord, or internet browser Discord.
Oh my god, use the
Yeah,
actual...
browser version.
Use the program.
I refuse.
Your age is showing.
The only reason to really use the app is because it, like, you ever notice when somebody, like, starts roboting really hard? That happens more often when you're using the browser client.
Yeah, honestly, it's because there's so many channels on the Discord, and I can't get through any of them on the app. I can only do it on the internet.
Not the app on your phone, the app for your computer.
That's what I mean.
That's weird, and there's something wrong with the app itself on your computer, or the setup was wrong, because you should be able to access the channels. Anyway, we're actually...
No, I can see the channels, but you got like 50 channels, and it stops around channel number.
Oh.
Well, I mean, don't join so many channels then.
You don't join so many channels then.
I'm in
Okay.
like 10.
All right.
Tell me what to do.
Hey, let's bring you back, because we only got like I only got like an hour left. I can't stretch out the stream. I have to keep it at 10 tonight. So, but what are your thoughts on all this, Crow? I saw you. We responded to some stuff that you were typing there in the live chat.
Yeah, it amazes me because first off, I think a lot of the heartbeat bills sort of make sense, but the main issue that I found with the Alabama one was it seems to be such a hardline stance in order to force a challenge to the Supreme Court and end Roe v. Wade as law of the land.
Right back.
But that just kicks it over to the states. If it's the state's decision, that's not a nationwide attack on abortion. It just means that Roe v. Wade isn't the law of the land, and it really never should be.
Sorry about that. My power box decided to come unplugged, and so I was only sitting at 19%. So it's like, oh god. Okay.
All good. Yeah, but like I on one hand, I think that it is unfortunate because you have both extreme positions taking form and deciding things. So on the left side of things, they've tried to make it an assault on women. Now they're trying to make it a racial issue. They don't see any sort of principled opposition, so they don't believe that they need to have any real discussion. On the right side of things, well, basically they're just punching back now in an extreme way. If you had my actual take on it, it would be that if it's the case of rape or incest, well, then absolutely not. You should let them have an abortion because there's no free will involved there. If it's first trimester, I'd even be okay with that. But the problem is right now on the left, I'd say that you have people straight up hiding behind rape victims in order to get it as contraception up till birth, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. You have people trying to use rape victims. You have people trying to use all sorts of stuff. Say, oh, well, I should be allowed to do this all the way up to the birthing point. It's like, no, because if you try to, like, abort when the baby is coming out, you're murdering another person. Again, it goes back to the prenatal argument, because we have prenatal babies that are born all the time that stay in the hospital until their bodies and their immune systems are strong enough to go home to their parents. But you have women who have to get C-sections done and get the baby out earlier than 40 weeks. It happens all the time. So again, that you can't tell me, like, because I know a lot of people like to argue, oh, it's not viable outside the womb. Bullshit, because after a certain point with medical care, because people talk about on its own, again, a baby is not able to fend for itself or take care of itself or be technically viable on its own. The mom has...
There are plenty of people that can't survive on their own without medical equipment, so it's not a real argument.
Oh, yeah.
I realize again that this is one of those things that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but does anybody else have a problem with the phrasing birthing point? Because that sounds, I don't know, like that phrasing's a little...
It's not.
Well, when the baby's due, when the baby's like, okay, mom, time for me to come out.
I get what you mean. It's just the phrase
No,
birthing
look,
point.
I'm on the right side of things, so when I look at the left, they're really great at renaming things so they don't actually have to have a conversation.
Yeah. I don't know how else you want me to phrase it. When the baby says, "Hey, I'm gonna come out now. I'm here. I'm breaking stuff." I don't know how you want me to phrase it.
The bird.
No, yeah. Look, I mean, I just mean like as far as you call them baby showers for a reason.
Aww.
Yeah.
That is not the kind of shower I ever want to have, man.
You know
Duh.
what I mean, though, right? It is
Yeah,
a baby.
I
mean,
get
we
what you mean.
see it as a baby.
See,
I don't.
like, this is
This is the problem with having a conversation, right? It's so difficult to have a conversation now.
Oh yeah,
See,
no,
like,
definitely.
this is the thing that throws me off about all this. The people on the right side of this argument could completely, like, totally castrate the left's argument if they just said none of these laws will ever apply in the cases of rape, incest, or oh god, what was the other one? Life of the mother.
No,
If the
you're right,
like,
but they don't
it,
want to have the conversation either. Now they want to end Roe v. Wade. That's the goal.
well, like, if they just
You're right. If they just did it
and the
that way, then
little
they could keep it as a state issue just for that state. That's not what they're trying to do, though. They want to make an attack on Roe v. Wade, end it as the law of the land, and have that be it. Which is, it's weird, right? Because on one level, that makes Alabama kind of smart in the way they're doing it. It makes them kind of heartless in the way they're doing it for their own, their own state citizens and everything. But I'm surprised they're able to do something this smart, given that it's Alabama and they gave us perfection.
Hey, you're not wrong on that one. But when it comes down to it, yeah, no, it's the idea that they're making a pot shot. That's what this is. The same time when the left decided that they were going to do the laws that were too extreme on the other end. It's just a pot shot back and forth at this point. They're trying to
Well,
establish political bases.
I don't disagree with you there, but you have to understand who's been kind of dictating the conversation this entire time. It's really been the left. Like when New York did their, what New York did was equally as abhorrent to me because then you had it so that let's say a pregnant woman is like hit in the stomach and she loses the baby. Well, that's not a crime. Doesn't matter at what point. It's a regular. It's just assault.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right either. But as like I said, when you look at where the media has staked their claim, they're totally okay with that. But then the other side does an extreme, and automatically it's an assault on all abortions, it's an assault on women, and blah blah blah. And so the right and pro-life movement has really, I think they just stopped caring.
Mm-hmm.
See, what's throwing me off is, like, could this be a play? Could this be like a, you hit them with the extreme, and then you come back with the much more measured bill that has
No,
those inclusions in it? Because that would be
I don't think I don't think they care about that anymore. I really
No.
think that all their concern is going after Roe.
Yeah, but this is quite possibly the worst way to do it.
It's
Maybe. I mean, look, I don't like it because you're winding up in a situation where an actual rape victim has to keep the baby. But that is forced the challenge because look, they could come up with a measured approach. They could include rape or incest, and that would be fine. But let's say it hits Roe v. Wade when you have a more liberal court, they'll strike down that law as unconstitutional.
yeah, no, and at this point it's a power play. You have here's the like extremes. I'll give you the extreme. When it comes to the Roe versus Wade, because correct me if I'm wrong, because Roe versus Wade we read was in 1972. When was the sexual revolution? Do you guys remember? Do I need to look this up real quick?
60s.
The 60s? Okay, so 60s, if you look at that 10 to 12 year spread, the sexual revolution came. Women got more promiscuous. They broke some of the taboos and crap like that, but they also got more just rampant with just sleeping around and all that stuff. And there were some both pros and cons. Like they did away with like, oh well, no, I'm allowed to express myself a little bit more. Fuck you. But they also went like down the road of thottery. Let's just call it for what it is. And then you have the Roe versus Wade, and those two tie in together now. So those two, you cannot pull one from the other. You wanted women back then who wanted to have more of a say of what they did over everything, regardless of what it was. And now you have this side that wants to take away. And again, I know I'm going to sound like a feminist, but hear me out. You have this side, because we just read the case with the teenage couple. You have a side that now wants to take away any and all say from a group of women. Because I know the feminists have been harping and just trying to, like, no one else has a say over everything. They've been trying to shut everybody up, and it has not been working. And you have this side. We've seen movements arise. You have the incels. You have the radical MGTOWs. You have a lot of people rising back up, trying to take the say back. So, as I said, it's two extremes colliding heads. There is no in between. All of us people who are kind of in between going, okay, I see your point here. No, this needs to stay. I see your point here. You're going a bit too far. And just all of us middle people are going like, oh my god, we're getting sandwiched in between two crazy ass sides.
I don't disagree with you, but I would say which side ended the conversation? Who decided that they would not come to the table anymore and made it, if you disagree with us, you are this?
I think it's both sides. I do know when Roe versus Wade was around. Go ahead.
I honestly disagree, because anytime I try to have any discussion that is remotely pro-life, I mean there's some idiot on Twitter that was arguing with my brother. My brother is pro-choice, but he's going, well, if you ban abortions, then you have to ban all religion because it's all the Christians doing this. And I'm sitting there going like, look, dude, you're an idiot. And I'd probably respect your decision a little bit more to be an idiot if you went ahead and made it about all religions. So go ahead and make your hashtag ban Christian, instead make it ban Islam, and see how well that goes for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. You just have people being heard. Like for me, again, as I brought up, I was in Cognitive Thought stream, and the talk of birth control. I got called a thought, and I told him, like, dude, I've been married for 6 years. My loyalties to my husband. I know marriage doesn't mean much of anything to people these days, but it's like, it means something to me. I don't sleep around with my husband. And so, like, bringing up birth control, bringing up the actual development of the embryo, fetus to actual child, I got spurred the fuck out. Oh. One dude, like the Carnegie chart I brought up, which states that life starts at conception and calls it a human life, even before implantation. And it's just like, that's not even scientifically correct. I don't care what university that is, but that's bullshit. And I got called a thought for talking about birth control and like told to use a different term when I mentioned it had various uses. And somebody goes, well, how about hormone aid or something? I'm like, no, it's called birth control for a fucking reason. So you have that side as well.
Look, if you wanted to... Oh, sorry, go ahead. I've been talking.
I would be wholeheartedly remiss if I were not to. I don't know if Crow or Cheryl watch Cognitive Thoughts channel.
I don't think so, but...
This is the first I'm hearing of him.
Okay, so let me give a brief explanation. He was very much around during the Tonka Saw days. And those sorts of incidents very much changed his channel. He used to be very much against pseudoscience and like you know, the whole anti-feminist things. But after the Kumite things happened, he very much devolved into a drama channel. His audience is there for the drama. It could have been a freaking Harvard graduate PhD doctor, and they would have said the exact same thing.
Well, it's not just Cogstream.
It's his audience.
Yeah, well, it's not just his audience. There's various people's audience that will go and call anyone talks about birth control a thought. And again, I know I'm sounding like a feminist, but like if you go into any MGTOW, like I'll give you an example, turd flinging monkey, even Panoid, Tom Panoid. No, because these men, like I said, there are groups, these radical groups now rising. They've been rising for a while thanks to feminism. These people, as I was explaining to Cheryl, some of these people are in the power seats right now. They don't want to talk either. They just want to take the control back. It's right now, this is all about control. Nobody wants to have a conversation about anything. It's like who has the biggest stick right now and who can wield it the farthest. So it's just, we are at that point right now. And it's just this is kind of scary.
You're dealing with a counteraction to radical feminism, which is on its third or fourth.
Fourth.
Third wave, technically.
I've heard people identify as fourth wave feminists, so I think it's fourth wave.
There are people.
You've hit the point where you have people that are really tired of being punched around and not having their voices listened to. So yeah, they've taken a very extreme position. I don't know if there's a way of coming back from that, because they will completely back what they're saying, because it's finally giving them what they want. You know, if having a conversation with the other side has gotten them absolutely nowhere other than having their teeth kicked in, this is where you're going to be.
See, when it comes down to it, one of the things about the concept of like the extreme arguments and everybody not wanting to talk to each other that really actually wholeheartedly frustrates the piss out of me.
Mm-hmm.
At no point in any situation should I be the most reasonable person in the room. It should not happen. But I found more and more situations where like I'm the good person, and that's not okay.
Oh yeah, no, and there's some people that you just can't talk to. Period. That you can't talk to them. You have to slap them around with the stupid stick and go like, shut up, sit down. I don't want to hear it anymore. But it's just he's got to. I'm not like I can talk, like I can have a conversation, debate about stuff. But yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those surly people. I don't like bullshit, and I'll fucking bite you for it. But it's just like I shouldn't be looked at as the most reasonable person in the room either, because it's like I know people who have education way farther than me who are supposed to be well versed with degrees. Like I had somebody in my live chat earlier saying that they had a degree in microbiology and were telling me that life started at conception. It's like, you're an idiot. There is no way your university taught you that before implantation.
The problem is, and I'm not the most educated person here in the stream, but the problem is you don't have a way of defining where life begins for either side. So they're going to say conception. The other side is just going to argue it's a bundle of cells up until I decide it's not.
Well, no. You go by the actual development. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It is literally a ball of cells, an embryo. Okay. That cells continue to divide and separate and get ready to develop all kinds of stuff. So I'm going by the actual development. I'm not just going by. I'm not jaded, but if you actually look at the development, 8 weeks. 8 weeks is when you.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying
okay.
you. I'm saying that this is basically where we're at with people.
Yeah.
This is the voices on both sides. One side is going to say it begins at conception because you will run a false positive at any other point. I'm not disagreeing with you. If I had a choice, I would say, look, give it to the first trimester, because religiously I might disagree, but I'm not going to force my religious views on other people. But the other side is going and saying, well, it's a bundle of cells, it's a zygote, it's a parasite until I decide it's not. Once you make that argument, all you're going to see is two people calling the other side completely immoral. And as long as you're arguing with an immoral person, you don't really need to take them seriously.
Which, again, is kind of BS, because a zygote is only 3 weeks. And then 4 weeks, it starts to, like, the heart, like the little, they nickname it, like, the heart tube and all that wonderful stuff, and where it's not an actual heart, but you have the heart start to develop, and by the 6-week mark, you have a beating heart. Again, actual life, going just off the development, is not there. You have a beating heart. You still have stuff developing, yes, but it's still a potential for human life, because anything could happen down the line. But let me say this. Let me add it to this. Any miscarriage, because even with my 3 weeks, I lost the embryo. 3 weeks. It's still depressing. Anybody who tells you otherwise is either that dead inside or they are bullshitting you. Because, like, what happened to me is I kept going through pregnancy tests. Line kept getting darker. So I had implantation bleeding, and I started to take some prenatal stuff. And then I went to a pregnancy center to get stuff rolling, and I found that stuff was gone. Went to an OBGYN, found out my progesterone wasn't up, and I just, because of anxiety, stuff like that, when they went, I guess when they took my blood, I went white as a sheet. They had to go get me orange juice and had me slowly drink it from the color of my face to come back. This is just my reaction to it. And then they even did an ultrasound to make sure nothing was there before they gave me progesterone supplements for my body to start naturally making the hormone by itself again. And I went home, I cried, I went to bed. I didn't want to fucking talk to anybody. And it still kind of bothered me for a little bit because my body hadn't fully recovered from the depot shot, which is synthetic progesterone. So yeah, no, it is depressing. Any miscarriage is depressing because it's your hormones going out of whack, and then your body cannot create a life to fruition. So it's just like you kind of feel like you're broken, like you're no good. So that is a thing that does happen. Somebody brought up, where did you go? Was it her name Serena? I lost it. She brought up something about how.
Says, don't forget that only 1.5%
There you go.
of abortions are due to rape.
Yeah, no, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, like I said, you're having so many people argue, well, you're not even going to do it for a rape victim. You're terrible people, and my only comeback to that would be, yeah, I don't disagree. You should have it for rape victims, but when it's like you said, like less than 2%, all the other side is doing is hiding behind rape.
That's a real number because not everybody tells the provider that they were raped.
No, look, the overwhelming majority of abortions are not because of rape.
They're elective for just because they didn't use birth control.
Yeah,
it's being used as contraception.
I'm just saying that 1 point something percent isn't necessarily a.
Let's say it's 5% then, right?
It's
more
not
than double what the reported number is. It's not the point. You should give them a voice. That's absolutely true. They shouldn't be forced to do something when they've already lost the free will. My problem with focusing on rape victims there is that it really feels like you have people hiding behind actual rape victims in order to justify it as contraception. And the pro-life movement does have a point here because you literally do see women running around saying, well, I really, when you don't have time to really make it to the CVS. I mean, once you start making that kind of logic, it really loses all types of merit with your argument.
CDS, what do you mean?
There was some idiot who was doing this YouTube video. I can't remember if it was Sinatra Says who covered it, but this was a while back. They had this YouTube video trying to justify abortions to children. And one of the arguments was, well, there you go. One of the arguments was like, well, you know what? When you really you just don't have the time to make it over to the pharmacy. Look, I mean, if that's your actual argument,
bruh,
it carries absolutely no water with anybody who has a brain.
Oh, if that if that was my kid and I had that bitch standing right there, it's like you better get away before I take my fucking. I'm gonna take something to your donuts.
You have celebrities that are virtue signaling idiocy, and by virtue signaling, I mean they're talking about how they wish they had an abortion. Like, I hope your kid never hears that. But look, I don't disagree with where you're coming from, Chambers. If you're going to ban abortions, there should be special protections made for rape victims, and there should absolutely be a focus on actual sexual education for children.
And birth control. Teach everybody what. Go ahead.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That would be a part of it. But the only way out is going to be through. You're going to have, it's darkest before the sun rises. You're going to have a tough period right now. But I don't see any other way forward because you literally have one side who has shifted from making this an attack on women, because you can't really make that when you have so many women who are pro-life. They're going to make it a racial issue.
Yeah, well,
and they are already making it a racial issue.
I was
watching one of Tim Pool's videos about this. Sorry, I was just real quick.
You're fine.
I was watching one of Tim Pool's videos about this nut job group that is advocating for a purge of white women. This is really stupid now, but they just will not have the conversation.
Oh yeah, there's a Purge of White Men too. It had to do with Planned Parenthood. There was a tweet. Somebody snapshot it before she deleted it, passed it around, and again, this was a white woman saying this is like, if you are having a white baby boy, take a planned trip to Planned Parenthood, and just like, dude, you delete your account, go away. But yeah, you have people trying to say, well, we should no more white babies, or no more white male babies, and or no more babies of this color, and just like, can y'all like shut the fuck up?
I forget the exact number, but I think it's somewhere like because this isn't even a racial issue anymore, because or never was.
It actually,
it's
Planned
something
Parenthood.
like 9%.
Planned
I know what you're gonna
Parenthood,
say. I know
yeah.
what you're gonna say. It's something like what 9% of the population that are of women are African American, and they're having somewhere close to 30% of the abortions. So if, let's say, you did make it so you banned abortions outright, which is not happening, even if you overturn Roe v. Wade, that would not happen. But let's say it did, all you would have is a higher increase in Black representation. So I don't see how you make this. I mean, again, it's going to be worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
You're confusing them with facts.
Yeah. Something too, I had, god damn it, but I had two things here. Oh, the birth
give me like 1 minute. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Okay. The birth control, teaching everybody about birth control and what it actually does. I made me lose my train of thought because I had something. What was I gonna say? It was the birth control.
Hormonal benefits.
Yeah, it can balance your hormones, and there's different types of birth control. Like, there's 2 different types of birth control I used. Again, was the Depot shot, which is synthetic progesterone, and then what's called the Ortho Evra patch, which is synthetic estrogen. So that, going from one synthetic hormone birth control to the complete opposite one, or a completely different hormone-based one, I kind of crashed, and I eventually stopped putting the patches on because they were like annoying as shit, and I kept crashing, so I ended up tossing the rest of them out. But that's just me. My body is naturally balanced. For women whose bodies aren't, birth control very much helps. What was the other thing I was gonna cover? Things are so crazy right now. I don't even. The racial thing, because Planned Parenthood did start as a thing to control the Black population. It was Margaret. What is her face?
Sanger.
There you go, Margaret Sanger. It did start out, and they were encouraging Black women back then to get abortions constantly. I don't know what changed between then and now. I guess other people took over, but what were you gonna say there, Ichabod?
Like, this is the thing that I keep trying to say to kind of hammer the point home. When it comes down to it, if you really wanted to take a shot at Roe v. Wade that would do damage, what you would have to do is include rape, incest, life of the mother, all of it, all the potential exceptions to the law. Throw all those in there, but ban abortion itself when, like, let's say the fetus is happy and healthy and all that. You could start at conception with that. You don't have to, and it would be a bad idea to do that because people would look at you like, the people who are like, ban gays, like, that's just what the left is going to do. But you're taking away their biggest playing card. You're taking away the best cards out of their hand, the things that people will debate from a moral standpoint, even if they are pro-life. If you take those weapons away, you leave them more or less disarmed. So I don't understand why they haven't proposed a law that has all of those exceptions in it, but abortion itself becomes illegal.
Well, here's the thing, because that was it. The Georgia law. their rapes have to be reported. And I do say, because with this, like, the Vic Manana stuff, and, like, if you are violated in that sort of way, and I understand that you just had a traumatic event happen to you, you're ashamed, you feel disgusted with yourself, and you were overall traumatized, go to the police. And I know that not all rapes are reported for various reasons, where I'm going to acknowledge that fact because it does happen. But then you open up another can of worms saying that only you can only get abortions if you've been raped. And it's just like, well, do they have to report the rape? Does the person have to be convicted? The person they accuse be convicted of rape? I mean, how far the line does that have to go? And again, I'm innocent until proven guilty. So there's a whole other can of worms aligned with just that, with that exception right there. So it's just like, how far down that line are we gonna go? It's a rabbit hole that dives into several other deeper holes. Serena points out, even then, 85% of the women who become pregnant from rape keep the child, 30% of women who abort the child regret it, and only 2% have no regrets. And that is true, because I did say this in Cog's stream the other day, is that any woman who does have an abortion, there's a grieving process. They have to go through counseling right after, because they had something taken from them. Any woman who says that this doesn't happen is lying to you, because it's a drop of hormones, which does cause depression, mind you. And then they do have to go through counseling, and it could lead to scarring if it got botched. There's one woman who actually died. There's actually been a few women who have died from botched abortions. So there's that too.
Just one thing, Ichabod, because you brought it up a couple times, right? Why won't they do it this way? They should. You are absolutely correct. They really should do it that way. If they really wanted a law that made sense and that was compassionate for everybody, I don't disagree with you. I don't think that was the point here. If they pass that law, right? Let's say 5 years, 10 years, however many years down the road, the Supreme Court changes and becomes more liberal again. It would just be challenged and immediately struck down. There's no way around this. You have to deal with the fact that the Supreme Court is dictating laws. They're creating laws from the bench there. So any law you make about abortion needs to be able to pass the Supreme Court right now. I think that's why they're doing it while they have a conservative lean.
Yeah, but therein lies the problem. They shouldn't have leans at all.
You're right.
It's one of those things. Like the legal system has been so absolutely destroyed.
Oh, it has. Look, the fact of the matter is, judges are supposed to be determining what the law is, not creating it from the bench. But because you can only deal with the situation you have right now, and that is a deeper problem that needs to be fixed. I don't know how you go about fixing it, because I look at the crap with the Ninth Circuit. But just back onto the main point, the reason why they're doing it this way is because they want to make it so that there is a challenge at the Supreme Court, well, there is a conservative leaning, and it basically overturns Roe v. Wade, so that the law stays on the books and cannot be challenged. Now, that from there, the states will then have to dictate, and I don't disagree with you at all. They need to make some sort of exception for rape victims. They need to be more compassionate, 100%. They should set it so that it's up to 3 weeks, it's really hard to say, because at the end of the day, you're going to have people who are going to find one person, one exception, but you cannot focus on the exceptions to make those rules.
Well, see, the thing about it is everybody says that same kind of stuff. Like it should be more compassionate. With me, I'm not looking at it from a compassionate standpoint. I don't have that capacity. I can't look at it from a moral standpoint or an emotional one. That's just not how my brain works. When it does come down to it, is what I'm looking at this is from a utilitarian standpoint. How can this law that they've been trying to pass for 50 odd years now actually be put into law in some sort of way? But what I keep hearing from like the Republican side and the Democrat side, is the Democrats say that there should be exceptions for these rules, and the Republican side keeps saying that no exceptions at all. It just needs to be dealt with.
Continue. I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
I'm not disagreeing with you, buddy.
But it's just a concept of take the weapons away.
Well, you have to
Okay,
understand, right? Look,
But
I'm telling you what the logical end is here. Let's say that you put all of those things in place. Let's say you made
No, that's
exceptions
fine.
for rape victims. Let's
It's
say you made
9:41, so I'll be wrapping it up
so
here.
that it does not harm people and only
Yep,
is
I'll
there
see you here in.
to protect life, which is the main goal, which I don't think the Alabama law really does.
Oh,
No matter how
okay.
you look at it, the argument from the
right.
left
Bye.
is not about it needs to be more compassionate. The argument from the left is it's an assault on abortions nationwide. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. It's an assault on women. Once you have that, no matter how you frame it, no matter how you word it, no matter how thoughtful it is, and from a utilitarian standpoint, it's going to be challenged. It will be challenged as soon as there is it will be challenged as soon as there's a liberal bias. It will be challenged as soon as there's a conservative bias. They want to force the challenge while they hold the Supreme Court.
But there's not even really a conservative bias. They keep saying that there is, but Kavanaugh, if you look at his previous decisions, he has not been this wild conservative that they keep saying. And neither is Chief Justice Roberts. If you remember, he's the one who found a tax in Obamacare. So he is not some wild conservative either. So I think
no, but it balances out.
Overplayed their hand.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but these things I don't think are going to be immediately hitting the Supreme Court. I think it won't hit for a few years, if not longer than that. Kavanaugh and Roberts will still be on the bench, and my guess is they're hoping that RBG goes out while Trump's still in office, and they get another conservative judge on the bench.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's what they're hoping for.
See, when this comes down to it, when it comes to the laws themselves, what the most important thing that you ever deal with in law is called precedents. Well, the stuff that's happened before, the determinations that other judges have set into place, which basically interprets the law.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to head out a little bit early.
No, that's fine. I have to shut it down. I'm sorry, guys. I did a boomer thing. I muted myself on the Discord, but I didn't mute my actual mics. People like I can still hear James. I'm sorry.
I take it it's time to go.
It's getting near that time. He's getting pretty close to our usual spot. So, and hope to God it's not full. Otherwise, we're going to be hunting for another spot. So let's start to wind it down. Like, final thoughts. I mean, I'm just like sitting here watching stuff burn. I'm just like, there is a middle ground, people. It's middle ground. I think is like toast at this point, which really sucks.
Yeah. Cheryl Crow, do you want to go first?
I'll go. So my final thought is that I really hope that they change the law, allow some exceptions. I agree with you, Ichabod, that all they had to do was say these exceptions and it would have taken the wind right out of the Democrats' sails. But I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the truth, because they tend to lie about what the law is anyway. They say things that are there that aren't there. It's like you have Kirsten Gillibrand saying that this is a national attack on women's reproductive health, and I'm going like, these are individual states. It's not a national anything, and so they'll lie anyway. But I mean, at least there'd be something to defend.
Yeah. Bro, anything?
Maybe he actually left.
Did he?
Crow, are you still there?
Guess he left.
Yeah, it still shows that he's in the call though, so.
Yeah. Well, if you want my final thoughts, rather than
there it goes.
even going through this concept, I'm going to go ahead and tell the Republican Party exactly how you can actually get this law passed, and then eventually maybe chip away at Roe v. Wade later. First and foremost, you need to make an entire bill allowing for these exceptions. Tack onto that bill a subsection that provides um, low cost contraceptives nationwide, birth control for as little as $1 for a month's supply. Handle it that way, and then blast everywhere in a massive PR campaign that this is contraceptives across the board. This is you can go into your local pharmacy, hand them $1, and guess what? You've got your contraceptives. There's no excuse. There is no excuse for you to have an unwanted pregnancy. You've got it set. Go ahead. Go do your thing. But the contraceptives are there. Abortion, however, is now from a basis of anything that is not rape, incest, or a determination of the death of the mother or the child is illegal. 100%. Doesn't matter when it happens. The only fault in this situation, if you get an unwanted pregnancy, is on you, because you had every available acceptance. You can find 4 quarters in the street. There is no excuse to not get those contraceptive medications. So there you go. You do all that, all of it, massive PR campaign about it, take the win straight out of the Democrat sales, take it straight out of the liberal sales. What excuse could they possibly have to put a stop to a bill like that?
To wrap it up and to give the final thoughts here, again, birth control is not concrete. That is why when you read up on it, it has varied results depending on the woman. And some people have gotten pregnant on birth control. Some people have accidentally started birth control and did not know that they were pregnant. I know someone close to me who this happened to. The birth control that they started actually caused them to miscarry. So it's not. There are so many gray nooks and crannies to not define it. But yes, for the most part, proper education, learn how your body works, get yourself hormone tested so you can get the proper birth control. And also, that's the thing I wanted to touch upon real quick. I just remembered, speaking of birth control, because they tried to do this. I love this argument. Well, men should be required to do some form of birth control too. Let me tell you what I think. No. They already tried this, 100 men, and they become permanently sterile. Here's why you cannot get men to do birth control. Not because they refuse to, but because it is biologically, for their bodies, fucking impossible. They do not work the same way. For us, birth control...
With our current technology.
Well, no, just... Even with our technology, I do not think it's possible. Let me explain why. Because what birth control does, yes, it is a proper hormone balancer, but it also tricks the body into thinking it's pregnant. A lot of birth control is synthetic progesterone. And if you read what progesterone is that when the egg gets fertilized, your body will start to do an increase to thicken your uterine lining. So a lot of the birth control tricks your body into already being pregnant. That's what the Depo does. Ortho Evra, I have to read up again what the patch is because that is synthetic estrogen. But that increases the... I don't think that tricks your body to be pregnant, but it keeps the estrogen so far up that the progesterone can't even catch up. And but yeah, so birth control for women's bodies, for the most part, tricks into being pregnant or keeps the hormones so in balance that you can't get pregnant. Well, that's what it's supposed to. But yeah, men's bodies do not have estrogen and progesterone like that. Men have a skosh of estrogen. That's it. It is testosterone, skosh of estrogen, and then I think it's progesterone with the, or is it that, I'm having a brain fart. But there's also the androgens involved.
What I wanted to put into that was that with our current technology, we cannot make a contraceptive for men. Don't get me wrong, we've got condoms, but where we're at right now, don't get me wrong, they should absolutely keep researching it, because if it does become a possibility later on, that's not a bad thing. But right now it's not possible. So either they always wrap it, or, and then, there's always the chance that the condom itself fails, or, take the pill. And when it comes down to it, what's the boyfriend gonna do? Like, make sure she takes the pill every single day? And, well, yeah, no, that can be a solution. It also becomes unviable over a period of time, and I've had these sorts of situations happen to very good friends of mine. They just say yeah, but they haven't taken it.
Yeah. And that, I know men do have progesterone. I'm sorry, it's a brain fart, but they're so balanced differently. And even with birth control, because we're going to wrap it up here, birth control, you can only be on birth control for a certain period of time. For the depot, for example, because I keep bringing up, that's like the most experience I've had with it and the most I've read up on. Depot, you can only be on that for 2 years. If you were on it longer for that, there have been documentation of it jump-starting menopause. Like, where you are infertile at that point. Women have tried to play with that stuff and be on that crap for 3-4 years. No, 2-year mark, and then you get the hell off of that crap, that particular birth control, for a year for your body to recuperate. So I was only on it for like a few months until I tried to switch, and then I just said fuck it altogether, because like, yep, I'm done. This is garbage. But yeah, you can't be on birth control forever either, because that will tear your body up. It'll jumpstart you, it will make you infertile if you do not do the birth control right either. So that is a thing. So again, it's not black and white. But so we're gonna wrap up here. Thank you for coming on, Cheryl. I was supposed to have another guy on for like a guest call, but I guess either he forgot or I don't know what happened. But for those of you who are wondering who the other person was, DNA Crows, you can actually find all of his information. I put a clip up the other day of the interview he did with me, so you can find all of his information in that description. I'll have to update this one later with his stuff. Again, you will find my co-hosts. I seem to interchange them, but like Miss Steam, Ichabod, you'll find all their descriptions and link. I never ran my ad tonight. Oh well.
No, you didn't.
I still have the badges up for the upcoming conventions for Vic Mañana. The ones that are current, either going on this weekend or still yet to come up with a minute. All the information is in the description below. We usually do an ad that advertises everybody. Oops.
We got no time. You got to spend time with the hubs.
I have to go get them, and hopefully we do not have to go dig around for another truck stop, because the one that we usually use is available on Saturdays, but during the weekday, it is like everybody's playing sardines, and then you got some douchebags that don't know how to fucking park. It happened last weekend. Fucking Walmart. Anyway, you had some douche nozzle. Like, this is Walmart, full-blown trailer, park, like, so close to the line on one side of the actual parking space that there was not enough room for my husband to go into the available parking space. And just like, So when you're a truck driver and you need to find a place to shut down for the night, it is a bitch. I've been out with my husband for like weeks at a time, and it's just like, it's not fun. Because you see how much of an asshole people really are. Anyway, you guys have a good night. And after you guys have watched this process, give me your thoughts in the description below. Things are getting hairy right now. There is a balance to this, but people are wanting the power stick, and it's very annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Later,
Good night.
people.